Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to talk to you about my power stations. This is going to be a gear review. I've been using power stations in the truck pretty much since I started living on the road. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the power stations. So the power station on the right is an Oupes 600w solar generator. Has a battery capacity of 595 watt hours, and it currently retails on Amazon right now for about $449. The power station on the left is an Oupes 1200w power station. It has a battery capacity of 992 watt hours and currently retails on Amazon for $1,299. That's a bundle deal that they're doing right now, which also includes two solar panels, two portable solar panels at 100 watts each. I don't see it currently listed with just the power station alone. You may remember probably a few videos ago, the last time I was at Dragoon Creek, yeah, that's the name of it. I'd had kind of a rotten weekend. My power station had quit taking a charge. Just feeling kind of ill from being dehydrated and things like that. A lot of it had to do, with the stress of losing my primary power station. It had quit charging. Still don't know what the cause of that was, why it stopped or anything like that. But I did get a hold of the company, and they did some very, very basic troubleshooting and had determined just through email communications that it was in fact defective. So they had me send it back, which I did, and then they'd send a replacement. Now the replacement that they had sent is actually the new model of the same power station. So the original one was an 1100 watt. It was the very first iteration of that size of power station that they had done, and I'm sure it probably had some flaws. Problems that I had had with it while I was using it was the battery fairly regularly would shut off, meaning that I wasn't getting any power to my fridge or anything like that. I basically always have to keep an eye on it, making sure it was running at all times, because it would shut off anywhere from 2 times a day to every other day. So there was no consistency as to what caused it to shut off or anything like that. Now when they sent the replacement, a lot of the reasons why I'm doing this gear review is because they have phenomenal customer service. The power station has a 2-year warranty, and just through going through the Amazon communications of contact the seller, they responded very promptly. I believe it was actually within 24 hours of the original submission, and we were done troubleshooting it within like a day and a half. Just bouncing communications back and forth. They did send a prepaid return mailing label, so all I had to do was box it up, put a label on it, and go drop it off. And then they sent out a replacement. Now the replacement that they sent out, as I stated, is actually the newer version, which is the 1200 watt. And this thing far outperforms the 1100 watt that I originally had. I am very, very happy with this thing. I've been running it for probably about 3 or 4 weeks now, since the replacement had arrived, and this thing has not shut off once at all. I couldn't be happier with this thing right now. The 600 watt, when I bought it, was also the kind of the first iteration of the power stations when they had first released these, probably about 1.5 years ago. And this one does do the whole kick on and kick off thing, but it's not really that huge of a deal, because I'm basically keeping it around at this point as a backup. When my 1100 watt died, I was pretty much running primarily off of this for a couple of weeks until the replacement had arrived, and it functioned decently for what I needed it to do at that point. So in short, I do highly recommend this brand, because even if you end up with a bum unit, they are very, very quick to communicate and actually try to resolve the problem. So, you know, thumbs up to the company for their customer service. Great customer service. All right, so I'll bring in a little closer and show you the actual power stations and kind of what they have and what they can do. All right, so the 1200 watt power station has 3 120 volt outlets. They have a maximum wattage output of 1200 watts, and that is combined between the 3. So I mean, you could have, you know, 300, 300, and 600, I guess, drawn at the same time, and it should be able to support that much power draw. Or you can go, you know, up to 1200 watts into a single outlet, or as I said before, you know, 1200 watts between the 3 combined. This is the input slot. When you order these power stations, they do come with the wall outlet, so you can plug them directly into a wall. It comes with a 12 volt cable as well, so that you can plug them into your 12 volt DC, like cigarette lighters and stuff like that for when you're traveling. And if you're going to run solar, as long as you have that same style of plug, which is what I primarily charge mine with, you can plug solar directly into that as well, and it will charge too. Over here you have a pair of USB-A. These are quick charge 3.0 ports, so they're really, you know, produce a fair amount of power. And then it's got a pair of USB-C ports as well. It's got a 60 watt power delivery port and an 18 watt power delivery port. So how I typically will set mine up is I'll use the 60 watt to plug my laptop in, and the 18 watt will be what my phone gets plugged into, and then my Bluetooth speaker will go into one of the USB-As, and my vape or whatever else can go into the other one. It's got a pair of 10 amp 12 volt ports here, and what I like to use these for is if I do need extra USB ports for other devices or whatever, you can get something like this, and basically this just plugs into the port here, and then basically just adds another 12 volt port. And what I'll do with something like this is take one of these doodads like this, just plug it right in, and now I have 2 more USB-C ports and an additional USB-A port. Or if I don't need that many USB-C ports, I can plug one like that in, which just has a pair of USB-A ports. So, you know, there's definitely ways for expanding your power needs depending on what you need at the time. And then this is just a 12 volt marine power port. Basically, this is what the fridge stays plugged into around the clock. Hopefully you can see the display. It's a little bit sunny out here, but right here, when you're running items, it will tell you approximately how much time the battery will sustain that item based on its current power draw. In the center here you have the current battery percentage, and then over here you have the current battery power draw, which is your output wattage. And then below that there will be a number when it's plugged in and charging on how much power is being brought into the battery. So if you need to use the inverter, all you simply have to do is push this button here, kicks on the inverter. You can hear the fan spin up there for a second, and then you can run stuff off of these outlets. And then over here is another button, which is the button used to turn on and off all of your USB ports and your 12 volt outlets as well. So push it to turn it off, and again to turn it back on. And that's pretty much that. Really super simple to use, and I really enjoy it. All right, so the 600 watt functions just like the 1200 watt, except it's just smaller. Doesn't have quite as many plugs, but still a very functional unit. So you have two 110 volt outlets here. They have a combined wattage output of 600 watts, so you know, again, you could do 300 watts out of one, 300 watts out the other, and be just fine. It has two USB-A quick charge 3.0 sockets on it, as well as a 60 watt power delivery port as well for USB-C. And then again, you have two of the 12 volt 10 amp plugs here for being able to plug in things like the extra cigarette lighter if should you need it, and as well as a dedicated 12 volt outlet as well. And then on the back side of both of these, there's also a light that you can turn on should you need light. The input for this one is actually on the side right there. So this one will support a maximum input wattage of 100 watts. So up to 100 watts of input from either 12 volt, 110, or through solar. And then this one can carry a maximum of input of up to 200 watts. And those are the power stations. If you found this video useful, if you like what you've seen, please go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Like, comment, share, all that happy, wonderful stuff. Until the next one, thanks for watching.